I was so lucky to earlier today spend some time with Saar, who is the creative and the, quite frankly, genius behind her brand InSync Design. Beautiful jewellery. And I bought myself some earrings when I was there. Anyone watching the video can see these, but I'll share the links for everyone else so you can check out her beautiful products and collection that she creates. Like a lot of people, Aris was faced with a huge change during the pandemic and a need to pivot her business. And what she's done incredibly well is use multiple different formats and tools within the marketing repertoire to build her collectors and her client base, and to make sure she stays connected with those clients and continue to build more and more. I think her thinking on marketing is very innovative. She is always happy to give things a go. She can see the benefit of working with others. And I think she has really taken on board that challenge of changing from really a wholesale-based business to a business-to-consumer business. So sit back and enjoy our chat about all things creative and business. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us on the Retail Success Series. Today I am thrilled to have Aris with me, whose artwork I will be sharing links with on our podcast so you can see it, but it's absolutely beautiful. We met, it must have been almost 12 months ago now through a mutual friend. And so I've followed Aris's beautiful style since then. She is a creator. And I thought it was really important that we actually have creators that we talk to as well, because it's always hard to balance business and your creative and work out which head you want to be using. So hello and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your style and how you got here?
Well, my style has always been quite contemporary and minimalistic. Prior to InSync, I was a jeweler that worked with traditional materials like gold, diamonds and pearls, and still very minimalistic and very modern in style, but traditional materials. At the time, my daughter was about 3 years old, and I got a call out from Craft Victoria that they were setting up a design market in Melbourne for the first time ever, and they wanted creatives to create a product for Christmas that will be basically a bit different, a bit crafty or designery, that was specifically for Christmas. At the time, I was very inspired by my daughter's drawings. She used to do those very naive drawings of people that are circle, dot, dot, legs and arms. And she used to do hundreds of them. So when the call out came, that's the first thing that came to mind, and I wanted to create something along the same line. So I grabbed her IKEA paper roll and her crayons, and I sat on the ground with her, and I started doing sort of doodles and bright sort of line drawings. And I thought of creating brooches that were inspired by that. At the time, I was a full-time mum. I didn't have much of a contact with adults, so I asked my husband to take those drawings to work and see what they thought. So he came back home that night and he goes, "I'm so sorry, nobody liked it, and I really don't think you should go ahead with it." He's a financial advisor.
So don't listen to a financial advisor on creatives.
Well, I never really thought that the target market wasn't really appropriate. But anyway, he came home and he goes, "I don't advise you should continue with it." And I thought, well, I'm sorry, I am. I really love it and I'm doing it. And he was like, "I don't think so." It's like, I'm doing it. So I took it to the market. I made 70 brooches, brightly colored brooches, and took it to the market, and we sold out.
Awesome.
And then very quickly after, I was approached by the NGV wanting us to supply them with the brooches. And I said, I don't have any because I sold out and I'm back to my normal job of diamonds and gold and all the rest of it. And they did something that they never do, which is giving me money in advance to create a collection for them. And then within 6 months, I was approached by all the top museums in Australia. So the Gallery of New South Wales and Western Australia and South Australia. And I was stocked in all of them within 6 months. And it was like, what's next? So then we went and we did a trade show in Top Drawer in London. We didn't have any bites then, but the buyers of the Victoria and Albert Museum, they were walking around and they said, look, we're looking for new sort of merchandise for the shop, but the process of being selected is very, very rigorous and it takes up to 3 months to be selected. So we'll just take your business card and don't hold your breath. But if you hear from us, it'll be probably within 3 months. There were, I think, 6 or 8 buyers at the show that all picked up the card. Guess what? One day we got an email saying we want your product, and their first order was 350 pieces. It was unbelievable. So my house became a sweatshop. So we were working around the clock to make the 350 pieces, which was incredible. And then there was another order that came from an American museum. So then soon after, I realized that there's a big potential with American museums. And then I went and did a trade show in New York. And very organically, completely unplanned, when I did the trade show, I was showing my pieces, and then all the buyers that were attracted to the work were museum buyers. Then very quickly it was very apparent that this is who my target market is. For 15 years I did trade shows all around, mainly in America and in Europe, and I've always been approached by museum buyers. And then over the years, I've had about 90 of the best museums in the world stocking the works. Then pandemic came, museums were shut, and then I thought, I'm going to go online. I'm very successful in the museums, so it'll be the same. And I opened an online shop, and crickets, nothing happened. And it was like, I think I need to learn how to do this. And I took quite a lot of digital marketing courses and slowly learned how to do it. And I just do it myself. And I do it very organically. I just post things that resonate with me, obviously resonate with my target market. And I focus on posting 1 social post a day, emailing about 2 to 3 times a month.
That's fantastic. And as you say, it's organic, but you also focus on it. So you clearly see the value in both of those areas. And we'll get to, because clearly you've got collectors, and we'll get to that during our conversation. First of all, anyone who's watching this, you can see I'm going to share some of the videos, so you'll see some of the pieces are going to come over the top of us. Anyone who's not watching is listening, all the links are here, but it's InSync Design, InSync DESIGN, InSync Design. So make sure you check that out on Instagram, and the links are there. But beautiful pieces that
they're all here.
Yes, starting in and that's where we are. I should have started by that. My gosh, I'm lucky enough to be in the workspace here, and it's beautiful. Actually, a beautiful window looking out on the garden there.
I love that.
I really like that. Quite a start and quite a stop with the pandemic, as a lot of people where they had to suddenly pivot, and the fact that you did it straight away, a lot of people just ended up not making those changes that were necessary, is really interesting. Obviously, the museum people were there before. Now, though, you're working more individuals and also you're working markets. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what you've done in the market space.
Yeah, so I do only a few markets. I don't do them very often. Over the years, I sort of realised that my biggest target market is a little bit of Sydney and Brisbane, but more so Melbourne and Canberra. For quite a while, for quite a few years, I've been doing the design markets in Melbourne, the big design market. I do it in May and in December. And then in Canberra, I've done the undercurrent market up until last year. Unfortunately, it's just finished. But that was perfect because it was run in the National Portrait Gallery. And again, targeting those people that love art and design. And it was beautiful. Unfortunately, last year was the last one. So actually, just last weekend, I went back and I did the handmade in Canberra.
Yep.
Not the same target market, but still good to be there and see my collectors.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. You make very conscious decisions, obviously, on the markets, recognizing who your target market is, and not just going, oh God, I need to do something else, or I haven't done anything. You make sure that those markets are going to be valuable for your time.
Well, I've got a very specific target market, and I know what they like and where they hang out. So this is where I go.
Yeah. The other thing, when we first were talking, I remember us chatting about finding that balance for creatives between kind of the work and the creative side of it. So tell me a little bit about your process to ensure that you do have the time to focus on those marketing efforts that you obviously do participate in.
So when I started the online business, very naively, I thought it'll be 80% creative and 20% marketing. So not. It's probably the other way around. So the way I do it, I actually batch my work. So I do a design sort of period at the beginning of each year. So for the first 2 months of the year, from January to end of Feb or March, I do designing for the whole year. And I actually launch my pieces one new piece a month.
Yeah, great.
So I need to design 12 pieces for the year. So I'll have one per month. And then I launch them as I go. So production wise, I would probably be making about 6 or so designs at a time, experiment, sample, and then manufacture them as I go along.
Yeah.
That takes less time, whereas when I was doing museums, I was focusing just on museums. I was releasing 2 collections a year, and each collection would have had between 20 and 30 pieces. So it was much larger, the quantities were much bigger, and it was a lot more creative.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to worry about marketing at all.
Yes.
Because they did it for me. I never really advertised my work at all, because when you go to a museum, you go into the shop, you see something you like the sort of environment and the cuteness that goes with it, you buy it.
Yeah.
So I never really did any marketing. It was 100% creative. And then when I moved to online, it had to shift. So now I manufacture and design and make a lot less, but then I dedicate that time to marketing and showing up.
Yes, yes. With the time that you've got, you're obviously, as you said, very process driven in that you set your time. So with the marketing that you're doing, are you doing that yourself? Do you find that
I do it myself.
You do it yourself? Have you used external people and decided?
I have.
And tell us your experiences if you do.
I've tried quite a few agencies.
Yeah.
I've never been very happy.
Just don't feel that connection to your product? Is that what it is?
It just did not work.
No.
It just didn't. And I've tried so many different variations. It just didn't work. I find that I know my clients and I know what they like, and I like the same thing.
Yep.
So I sort of communicate with them on the same level, and I enjoy doing it.
Yep.
So if you look at my socials, it's, I would say more than 50% of it is images of women that collect my
Yes.
work, and I just show them.
Yes.
They send me their images and I just post it and I just put my take on it. So a lot of the pieces that I post are generically coming from my collectors, and I love that because it actually, they feel very proud to be associated with the brand. They love seeing their own faces on.
Yep.
And I feel that it's really authentic. These are the people that actually wear it. It's not the model in a Vogue. It's actually the woman that loves it, wears it, absolutely loves talking about it, and gets lots of compliments when she wears it. So it's like, why not feature her? So that's
Absolutely.
quite a simple thing for me. And because I'm so organized, I actually schedule about 1 day a month where I schedule my full posts for the month.
I love that. I wish I was that organized.
I am very organized. So I collect all the images, and then once a month I just schedule them all in. I don't have to worry about it. So then every day there's one post, and then I do my marketing, of course, for launch of the piece of the month, as well as I have one email a month about, that's called This and That, and it's about anything and everything that's been happening in the studio.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Because people want to know you.
Yeah.
They're connected to you. They're connected to the brand. And we're always talking about the need, and I know that you're seen in some of your socials as well. People know who you are. You're on your website, so people understand the maker, the creator, and have a connection with you. And I think that's one of the things when you talk about or look at agencies, they can maybe make a more polished post sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily resonate.
But even when I had the agencies, they never did my posts, ever.
No.
So they did Facebook
Okay.
and Google ads. That's it, really.
Okay.
Facebook ads don't seem to work for me. I've tried it with
imagine.
several agencies and it hasn't worked. And really surprised me because my product is very visual. Just didn't work. Whereas Google Ads does. So I still have an agency today that does my Google Ads and my SEO.
Yeah.
I've been with them for years. And that's all they do.
Yes. Okay.
I do everything else.
Great. And the SEO, you found that's been beneficial for the business? Have you
Yes,
noticed?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's great to get onto an agency that you're happy with, because that's one
I've
area
been with
that I
them
know
for years.
Yeah, people can struggle with. Before we met, I of course had a look through your website, was having a look at what you're up to. And there are a number of things that you're doing incredibly well from a marketing perspective that
you.
I would love to chat about with everyone, so you can share these things and also maybe explain the story if there's anything that's come from behind it. So first of all, your main banner image had 5-star, mentioned that it was there, award-winning, mentioned there, an image of a girl wearing with the brooch on there as well. As far as social proof goes, you're talking about your reviews, you're talking about your awards and your nominations, and then you've got the image. I love that. And then you've got the awards underneath. The awards, is that something that's happened organically, or have you been very conscious of?
Very conscious.
Yeah.
Because I was playing in the art sphere, it was very important to be recognised by the art institutions. I think my first award ever was I was approached by Tourism Australia when they did the Good Day USA dinner in the States, and they wanted Australian makers, and I won the award for that and didn't even think of doing it, but I was approached. And then after that, I applied for an art award in Germany and won that. And from then on, it sort of evolved, and I've won 16 international design awards. Yeah, initially it was about getting the recognition in the art world. And then after that, it was just organically sort of happened.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when someone pops onto your website, that social proof is also something for them to take even that little bit of extra notice. And if the photos themselves aren't enough, because they are beautiful. I love that it was actually quite a conscious decision, because I think a lot of people forget the power of, if there are awards options, the power to actually think about them and consider putting a little bit of time and effort into applying for those. So that's
I know
great.
for myself as a consumer, if I go on a website that has very prestigious outlets that sell the work and they won design awards, I immediately think it must be good. So it was important to get that kudos. And also on the homepage, you've got lots of the museums that have stocked the work over the years. Also, that adds a lot of the kudos.
Absolutely, and that's exactly right. And then your other part is the social proof that you've got on there, and in your socials is, as you mentioned, the wearers, your customers. You've got so
they're
many
not customers, they're collectors.
I apologise, the collectors. My apology for that. They look stunning, and as you mentioned, are happy to share their images, because they obviously love the pieces that they have with you.
Yeah.
And you're very conscious of having them. I'm sure
Front
they're on
and
the front.
centre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so people can see that as well as in your socials.
One of the things I love the most about running a creative business is that connection to my collectors, because they purchase once, they fall in love, and they keep coming back. I've got collectors that have over 50 pieces, 60 pieces, because they love it. And every time you wear the piece, you get heaps of comments and heaps of compliments, and you love that. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, and I love being part of that.
You call your loyalty program, was it
The
called?
Collectors Club.
Yeah. So how long have you had that going? Is that something that's new, or did you do that when you first started the website?
No, I started it later on, because I realized that people that love it keep coming back. So it was like, it's part of the club.
Yeah. And also, as part of that, you do have a point system and so forth. So it gives that little bit of reward for those who, maybe...
And they use it, let me tell you.
Yeah, good.
They use it a lot.
Yeah.
So every time they purchase, they get sort of a certain monetary value for every amount that they spend. And let me tell you, I can see it in their repeat purchases. I can see the discounts that come up regularly.
And then the other thing that you've got on your front page, which is something that's I've been seeing only recently, is your mystery discount pop-up. Has that converted higher than a regular pop-up? I'm fascinated. No. Interesting. I was sure it was going to be higher.
No.
Okay.
I've tried it.
I'll take that away.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, okay. But you do still have the pop-up, and you've
do.
had that for
a while.
Okay.
Different variations of it, but yes, I have.
Yeah, and so because you actually use your database and actually email regularly,
I do.
Building up that database is just such an important
I've got about
part.
8,000 collectors on the database.
That's fabulous number. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to think of a new pop-up now. I loved that one as for those who don't know what I'm talking about, you just have sign up today for a mystery discount, reveal here, and then it gives whatever discount has been set, I assume is the way it works. And I thought that but maybe it's because also your buyers, while they like a little discount, they're not driven by
No,
money.
they're not. And most of my collectors keep coming back, and then they won't see it because they repeat. It's just for new.
Another thing that I noticed that you do really well and is on the website looks like an influencer program. Can you tell us about that and how that works with your business?
Well, that was quite an interesting sort of thing that I experimented with, and seems to work quite nicely, where, as I said, I've got collectors and some of them have 40 and 50 pieces of my work. So I decided to approach them, and some of them, and say, would you be interested to be an ambassador? And what it means that you get 50% off a piece that you choose, and then as an exchange, you'll give me 4 videos of you wearing that piece. I've approached a few, and then one of them, it was really funny. She is a very stylish woman, never had an Instagram, never really posted on Instagram, but looks beautiful. So I said to her, would you do that? And she goes, look, I don't have an account. I don't know what to do. And I said, I'll help you set it up. I'll show you how to do it. Can you just, wear it and style it as you do? And she started in October last year. She's now 13,500 followers in 4 months, 5 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And she's doing unbelievably.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll share her details as well on
you can see her on my Instagram. Her name is Maha. She's super stylish. She has probably 60 of my pieces by now.
Wow.
And she just wears it beautifully. All she does is basically stands in front of the camera, gets dressed up as she normally would. She's a teacher when she goes to work, and she just puts on the jewelry and she looks fabulous.
Yeah.
So that's what started it. And I've got another lady in the UK that absolutely loves the work and does the same. So yeah, I just approach people that love the work and wear it anyway.
Yes.
And then it's no big deal for them. If you're wearing it anyway and you look beautiful anyway, just video it and get everything for 50%.
I just love also, it doesn't mean every item that you have to sell them has to be discounted. It can be one-off, like for different people. But the fact is, you say, it costs nothing to suddenly get content, and you've already got people who are effectively raving fans who are wearing it.
Absolutely.
And
they wear it and they constantly recommend it.
Yeah.
A lot of my customers, whenever I send them the piece, they always say, can you put in a few extra cards, because people always ask me about it. It's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, good.
So it's ambassadors.
I think that's such a powerful program, and I love to see and check in with you down the track to see how that's going.
Yeah,
because
it's quite new.
Yeah, I can see, and the use of your general, the images that you're getting in from your clients anyway.
Which I get lots.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds of images of ladies to just love the work and send me images of how they feel fabulous when they wear it. It's like fantastic.
And that must just make your day when you hear that. Yeah,
it does.
The other marketing, as I said, there's lots that you are doing really well. And for someone who's saying, I just learnt it from like 2020 when you had to set up a website.
It's true.
You've really been nailing it all, is collaborating. And that's another aspect that I think you and I have discussed, how it's not used as often as I personally think it should, but you're doing a great job of getting collaborations.
Again, approaching other businesses that appeal to the same target market. So my target market is women that love art and design and style. I approach other businesses that appeal to the same target market, and I've done a few collaborations by now and they've been fabulous. And I've got another 5 or so for the rest of the year, so it's really good.
And you meet these other businesses, you're part of networking groups and so forth. Is that how you meet them? Because you said you often...
Some I know from markets, some I know from industry events.
So people you've met though, you generally work with companies that you have a connection with to start with, and that's worked really well.
Yeah. And sometimes I get approached, but I would collaborate only with a business that appeal to the same target market.
So you've got the collaboration going on. You are collecting the email addresses and Instagram followings at the same time. So you're building up both. And as we've said, and then using your email list, which is something that so many people aren't doing, which is amazing.
Yeah, I use it regularly.
Yeah. You mentioned way back in our conversation that you batch your artistic work, you're creating, you batch your social posts. What about things like emails, just out of interest? Do you do them way ahead as well?
I try, not always.
Yeah, okay.
But as I said, because I launch one piece a month, once I've finished making it, I would photograph it, I would I'll write about it, so the inspiration behind it and all the rest of it, and then I would create the emails that follow.
Yeah. I think we have covered a lot today. I think Arissa's doing so many beautiful things with your beautiful jewellery. I keep saying it, and I do have to get myself some earrings. But I want to say thank you for your time. Once again, I'm just going to repeat, InSync Design, InSync Design.
Correct.
So at InSync Design for Instagram, and then insyncdesign.com.au
Yep.
for the website. It will be on the show notes, and obviously if you're watching the YouTube, you can click on the links on that as well. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I think it is really hard to balance the two, and you spending the 80-20 rule.
I think the key is being organised.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I find that that's what makes it work, because I know a lot of my creative friends that are not, and they're struggling.
And I think that's true for even non-creative people. I think if we are trying to do one post and we're taking so much time because it's stop and start all the time and all of that, it does waste a lot of time. And I think anything you can batch is so beneficial. Yeah, yeah.
I actually heard a very interesting podcast once about the way Zara works, and why Zara is so successful is they batch. And they batch in small amounts. So if, let's say, they produce one style of shirt, they would get one person doing one action for that amount, and then they move on. So the repetition gets them faster, and then they would move. It's like a production line, if you like. And they would move it to another person to do another action. And then it actually makes the production so much more efficient.
Oh, totally.
So I do the same in a way, where when I design, I only design. When I polish, I only polish. When I do coloring, I do only that. Or when I do batching for social media, I would dedicate a full day just doing that.
Yeah.
Like a full day would actually feed me a full month.
Yeah.
So that's how I work.
And most people don't have the ability to sit down for a day doing that, which I know myself, when I get it done and get a few done, it's just such a relief. It's off the shoulders when you know that you've batched. Actually, just quickly on that, are you batching your socials just through Instagram itself and scheduling? You use an app? You use Later? I used to use Later. Okay.
I'm just used to it.
Yeah.
I know you can do it on so many other ways and free ways and whatever. It's just that's what I've used for years, and it's just very convenient.
I've struggled with the music side of it.
Perfect.
So you have no problem. Okay.
I think they've updated it.
Okay. Maybe that's when they lost me, but I might have to go back and have another look, because I used to love it. Other than that.
Yeah. And they do stories. They do everything.
Yeah.
I find it really easy. Before that, I used to use something that was called Tailwind.
Okay.
Also really liked that, and then something didn't work. Had to move that, and have been using it for years, and it's been great.
And you use Shopify as your website, and so do you look after now the back end of that? If any
100%. I do everything. Yeah. So I design, I make, I send, I do the marketing, I do the emails, I do everything.
Well, you're wearing many a hat.
I am. Yes. As a small business, you have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been a pleasure over the last 12 months, catching up a few times and getting to know you.
Yeah.
And as I said, all the information on Iris and how you can connect with her will be connected to this podcast for you. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, I'd love you to subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and you'll hear lots of different tips and practical information you can use in your small business, and particularly for retailers. That's it for today. Have a sensational day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.